All right. Hey, everybody. It is 5:18 Thursday evening, East Coast, around 4:30. So excited to go live here with acceleratorsorg.com. What's up, Sean? What's up, everybody? Hope some people are watching. Hope you see this replay. Um, Jeff Bruno, B Modeler, Business Modeler. It's beatmodelr.com if you want to check us out. Very, very happy to be here. Things are going great on our end. I hope everything's going good for you and your small businesses. We are a small business as well. So I hope things are holding on, becoming, I'll say, more sustainable. You're looking at performance on a continuous basis. You're improving. You're adding more value, and you're continuing to grow. That's what this is about. That's what I'm here to help people with in discussion and specific questions around that as you look at your business model concepts and your plan of growth. So again, Jeff Bruno, let's jump right into the questions. We got some good ones today. I think there's only 4, but there's some good ones. So all right, first question is from Catherine Pollard. Catherine asks, how do I figure out what KPIs I should be monitoring for my position with my company? Catherine says, I am head of accounts for a marketing agency and want to provide measurable goals for the growth of the company as well as for myself. So, Catherine, this is excellent stuff. KPIs are, key performance indicators, as you know, are key things to do to help not only you, but as you mentioned, your division as head of accounts for a marketing agency improve consistently. So let's talk specifically about your role and what you should look at. So as head of accounts, I would assume that you are responsible for the client deliverables or the client requirements on a weekly and a monthly basis. So you need to work with your team to make sure they are producing the results, they're the correct results, deliverables, they're doing it timely, profitably for your business, they're meeting the client's needs, and you are moving forward in the growth of your division or the whole company as a whole, or the whole company. So this depends on what your company specifically does and how you're structured from a process standpoint. But to remind you of how I think about this, there's really 3 things to look at in a business model or even in a department, okay? Let's use yours, for example, head of accounts within a department. Within a department, you have customer requirements, then you have your internal process, and then you have your financial management. With financial management, the last one, being I'll call it the judge of whether you're hitting your other 2 pieces effectively to meet the company's goals. So if you're head of accounts, you have to ask, I'm in a marketing agency, what do my clients look for? So perhaps the clients are looking for correct communication so that the projects you're working on become clear to them and how it can support their objectives on their side. If you're marketing, obviously the clients are trying to either improve their brand awareness, get more sales, whatever the case may be. So they have certain goals they're looking for. So what you're communicating has to align with what their goals are. So maybe some metrics that you'd put together is, okay, how many touch points a week does my manager of that client, my internal manager of that client, have to meet with the client to assess if the goal alignment is with meeting with the work product? How many times? Once a week? Once a month? Twice a week? What is that dialogue that your manager of that for that client has to give to the client? And how many? So it might be, well, if they meet once a week, they're going to say, we're at this stage of the development, working on this. This is going to help towards your goal of X. Are we on the right track? You are. Great. Looks good. Excited about it. Talk to you next week. That allows the client who's really trying to make sure that what you're doing hits within their goal set and within their requirement, that they want to know consistently what's happening. Now, what that does for you is it allows your process to also be more efficient, so that your internal process doesn't spend 3 weeks working on something, present it to the client, and the client goes, yeah, no, 60% of that's wrong. That's not what I had in mind. So now a lot of things have happened. Now you look bad. The client's upset. You could lose the client. The project's behind, so you're losing profitability on it because now you have to catch up with the work and do profitability. So an example of that type of metric might be, how many times do you have to meet with the client to align deliverable understanding? Okay, so that's one KPI. Another might be, well, how much time does your team spend per client? So it might be, well, there's a certain client type that you're doing a marketing system for. So for that client, each member on your team who does that should spend 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week on that process. So there's another metric. So you know, okay, my team should spend 10 hours on this a week. And if they're spending more, they're either doing the wrong stuff, they're not trained up enough, something else is wrong. So you could set another metric there and saying, well, I know that this takes me 6 hours, but I'm like the expert. So for one level down for me, I would expect 8 hours for them to be able to complete this. So if it's 8 hours, then you set your KPI. All right, John, this week you got to do this in 8 hours. Next week, 8 hours consistently for this client. And that way you set the internal metric. So now you set the external metric with communication with your client. The internal metric, how many hours does John have to do to hit that deliverable consistently? Now you've been able to control both sides of the equation. And then the last one is the financial management. So the last one is, well, am I pricing right for the time spent by John to hit what I think is the margin I'm going for ultimately in this project? So an example, let's use round numbers, 10 hours of John's time a week, and John's hourly cost is about 40 an hour, okay? Internal cost. So that means you're spending $400 a week for John. So the way to look at a pricing metric is thinking, well, I should be charging about 2.5 to 3.5 times on average multiplier of John's time. If he's working all on that, let's assume all those 10 hours are on the project, all direct, of that time for that client. So the metric there is 2.5 to 3.5 times John's time. That's what should be in your pricing model. So let's go 3 for easy math. So if John's $400 a week of 10 hours of direct time, you should be charging the client $1,200. If you are not charging the client $1,200, then something's wrong in this equation. And let's say John spends 12 hours instead of 10. Well, now you have $480 eating away or lowering your margin on that. So you'll also see that after the effect of John's scenario. So those are all your control measures within one type of project. And you're hitting all 3 of those pieces. You understand the financial piece, you're hitting the internal process piece with the utility and the project scope, and you're hitting the front end customer requirement piece. So you do that consistently amongst all your teams, and you just look at a dashboard every week or every month as the head of accounts, you will see how effective they are, and then you will be able to adjust their effectiveness. So if your boss says, we need to be at a 60% GP across the board, gross profit, across the board for all of these accounts, you could then go in your head, all right, if John's doing 10 hours, if we're charging the client $1,200. I'm just making this up here. Just $1,000 to the client, and we're hitting on those schedules. He's not going over on those hours. We're going to hit that 60-65 GP mark. We got you. We're going to lock into that, and you can stay within that parameter. So now, which typically happens from the higher ups, they'll throw a financial metric to you without any of those supplemental measures or KPIs. And you're like, how do I meet that? Well, I just explained to you how to meet that using those 3 pieces of the puzzle there. And then you can go back to your manager at the end of the month and say, here's how I met. Look, all these guys are on schedule. And here's what also you can do. Hey, we're getting overloaded. My team is burning 90-95% utility. We should be at 75 as a normal construct for not only work-life balance, but also effectiveness from a creativity standpoint. Our overall utility, it's another metric you can look at. Our overall utility is hitting 90%. We should be at 75. We're losing effectiveness. We're not able to communicate with the client enough. We're not able to pivot midweek because we have no extra time. We're losing that creativity. I need another person on my team to deliver the product you want for the client. So let's say you have 5 people that are all at 90. If you bring in that other person and they're doing 70, now you bring everybody down to 75, and now the clients are happy. Or you're not burning out your people, so you don't have turnover of people, and everything's really aligned, and you're delivering product. And then head office gets great referrals from your current clients. Bam, they get more business. So all of this is a great way to structure your whole department. I'm actually thrilled for you. This is like our business model 101. I mean, this is what we do with clients on a consistent basis to try to understand how you integrate financial metrics with operational and customer requirements. And then we pull that together into a framework for you. So your question is very, very poignant and right on target with how you should be thinking about your role. Eventually, if you do a really, really killer job, you could do that for your own business. To go take what your really good skill set is, do it for your own business, or crush it so much for that company they put you in a more executive position. I'm thrilled with your question. Thank you very much, Catherine. Good luck. I'd love to hear more about your business. Next question is from Rohit Gupta. Rohit says, how do I determine price per unit when shipping is involved? Any formula? Business background. I sell imported snacks and drinks. I recently made an order worth $530, 214 units altogether, and $40 for shipping. So Rohit, this is not a uncommon question, but a little bit of a tricky one because there's no like set formula per se for shipping. It really depends on your product. It depends on your 3PL, your third-party logistics company, how they price things. It depends on if you're using one eventually. It depends on FedEx, UPS, DHL, whatever systems you're using. It depends on volume, like how much volume you can get out to customers. It depends on whether you're using Amazon to sell some of your product as a inventory management system as well, because they they take care of all the shipping, but they charge you a flat rate across the board to use their system. Or they'll charge you like various ship scenarios that are standardized. So it really depends on what you're trying to do and the sizes of things you're shipping, because that depends, as you probably know, box sizes really determine, box sizes and a little bit of weight, but generally box sizes determine shipping cost constructs a lot with all of those carriers. So you'd be surprised if you have you'll see that's why like all these bigger companies sometimes adjust some of their packaging in weird ways. Like if you have a box that's not as wide, maybe I'm making this up a little bit, narrower and taller instead of wider and shorter or something, you save money depending on the construct. So do some research there, figure out how you can save money. And then typically what I would do is, you either pass along your cost to the customers fully. That's ideal. You really want to try to pass all of your cost along to the customers from a shipping cost perspective. Or you want to make a little money if you're doing expedited. So sometimes companies will do, it's $40 for $530 a product. If you expedite it, it's 65. But really for you, it's only 55 to expedite it. So you make a little delta there. Sometimes that you're going to what I would call a higher need from the person. Probably a person who's less concerned about money. Also, they want the product faster, so they're willing to pay more. So take advantage of that. Like, hey, I got a richer, more affluent person here buying this, so they'll pay more, so I could charge more, make a little more margin there, maybe 5-10 points of margin. So not 5-10 points, $5-10. But that's an example. And also generally what I've seen just industry wide, shipping costs on the sale price of goods, if you think of it that way. Now this is not what I would do in your case. I would evaluate all of these different pieces I just mentioned, but shipping costs can be 5 to 15%, sometimes 20%, that's high, but 5 to 15% on your end of the product. You just quoted me 40 out of 539, so you're looking at about 8% there, a little bit under. So you're really in the ballpark for what it is, and what people sort of envision as the reasonable expectation on shipping. You might also want to give some discounts if people buy more product, like a lot of companies do. You buy over $100 and you get free shipping. Because what most likely will happen with you is your cost won't go up because you're smaller products. Your cost, you got to research this, but your cost, no matter what products you do, probably won't go up from a $6 order to $100. So yeah, you're absorbing that, but you're getting so much more product out volume-wise that you end up making up in that scenario. That's a calculation on the question mark of that, like how much more volume would I get if I offer this? Does it make up for the shipping cost plus? So that's another angle to do it, and makes people very happy when they order more and can have no shipping. It's a mental game with people, and also another thing to do with shipping cost is it's a great way to discount to people, orders. So you could say, hey, no shipping this week, shipping holiday this week. No shipping cost. Buy now. Whatever you want, we'll ship it to you one time, no cost. That also is like a good way to sort of pop some sales. And I don't know, I'm just spitballing here with you, but some ideas on that. And so there's no set formula, but you got to think about all those different parameters for your business model. Next question is from Lamont Gray. Lamont says, how much should I pay myself? Oh boy, I get this question all the time, Lamont. I provide point-of-sale systems and security cameras to businesses and homeowners. I have grown my business from being a side hustle to the point where it earns more money than my regular 9 to 5. And I'm now transitioning into my business full-time. Should I pay myself the same salary as earning in my 9 to 5? Pay myself a salary that is competitive to the position in my industry locally, or pay myself a percentage of the profits I earn each year? So Lamont, this is a very, very simple question. By the way, I get it all the time, like I just said. But here's the simple answer. Okay? The simple answer is, how fast, Lamont, do you envision or want to grow? That's it. How fast? So why that's so simple is you're selling point-of-sale systems and security cameras to businesses. Okay? So in doing that, what do you have? You have labor time, which is you right now, eventually employees, and you have product cost. Okay? So if you need to make $100,000 in salary, but you say, you know what, I'm going to take $60,000 in salary because I'm going to buy $40,000 worth of security cameras or whatever else you're doing. Now, I wouldn't buy that much, obviously, right off the rip, but throughout the year, I'm going to buy that much more. So then you have to ask yourself, well, what does that do for me in theory? If I buy $40,000 of this, assuming I can do the labor for it up to a certain point, how much more business can I do doing that? So it's an equation. So because you need capital. If you don't have the capital to put in, you need capital to expand. So let's say you say, well, at my current rate, with buying the product, then installing it, then doing it, so on and so forth, and just doing that along as I get business, I could probably, comfortably make 100K, and I'll pay myself that as a full salary. Okay, great. That's one decision. The other is I'm going to cut my salary by 40% to 60,000, and I'm going to periodically buy more product monthly. I know I have labor bandwidth, and I know I can sell a little more, so I'm going to buy more product because that's the only thing that I'm going to need cash-wise to buy it. I'm not going to see the profit of that until as I do the projects throughout the year. So maybe you say, I'm going to do that, and then by the end of the year, I'm going to bonus myself the profit out. And in theory, if your markup's strong enough and your gross profit is strong enough on the product, plus the labor that you're doing, the excess labor, you now made yourself, let's just spitball here, but $150,000 instead of $100 because of the economics of your business model. So you could have been making $100, but you decided to reinvest that as a plan to then get you to $150, and you can then say, I'm going to scrape all that $150 off because it was my hard-earned money to get there. I'm going to scrape it off, and I'm going to make more money. Or I'm going to only do 120, even though I'm making more, and take some of the profit. And I'm going to save that 30 for continued buying. I'm going to reserve the money. I'm going to save it. I'm not going to stop it off my salary. I'm just going to save it. And then continue to build from that and buy and build. And then get 200,000 in profit, 300,000, like to yourself. So that's the way to think about building from it from a salary standpoint. But you have to be very comfortable in your model construct. How does this actually make money? And time is money. My time, the products I have to buy, am I marking it up right? Is all of that making sense so that I can comfortably not take some of my salary knowing that by giving in 40, I'm going to make 120 more, 3 times or something like that. So that's the way I would look at it for nailing down your salary. How fast do you want to grow? All right, next question and final question is again from Lamont Gray. Says, what different bank accounts should I have for my business and what is the purpose of each? So Lamont is the point of sale system security cameras. I have 2 standard business accounts at 2 banks and a few personal business accounts. In the early stages, I use my personal account to cover business expenses and also receive payments from clients. I've since transitioned to making all business purchases on my business account, but still allow clients to send payments from personal account for their convenience. It is becoming very difficult to manage and see revenue from my businesses. Both my business and personal accounts seem to be mixed. Do I need to clearly establish accounts like operations account, business savings account, personal operations, my personal business, and personal savings? So there are some people in this world, and I mean this in a nice way, Lamont, who don't understand financial management, don't understand accounting, and don't understand projections or aligning. There are a fair amount of people. I'm not putting in this category. I'm just saying that there are. So what people, Profit First is a book, is an example of this. So what people, and some people learn that from that book, which is okay if you're a small company, is they set up sort of 5, 6, 7 bank accounts. One is operating account. One is I'm going to pull 10% out of the operating account every month, and that's my profit, and it's going to go into the profit account. One is the emergency day fund account. One is the 401k account that I'm saving for my employees, the match, so I don't have to worry about paying the match. One is, whatever, it can go on forever. So all that is, honestly, is a way for you to manage the pieces of your business that you're trying to manage. So if you're not strong in financial management, accounting and financial management, and you don't understand where things are going, and you feel more comfortable doing it that way, by all means, do it. Multiple bank accounts, especially from one bank, typically don't cost anything extra. So go ahead. I mean, it's more logistics for you. Oh, I got to move money. Boom, move it. I got to do this. Boom, move it. Like it's kind of a logistics nightmare. But if that's a system that works for you, go ahead and do it. I don't like that system because I think it's distracting. I think it takes too much time. And if you have the right process in place, the right financial management construct, you don't need 7 bank accounts. You need one bank account and one bank account only. And all your clients have to pay you through that bank account. Maybe you put ACH processing on it and credit card merchant processing through that one account, so you have all the options for your clients and they can just do it like that. You can even attach Venmo to it. I mean, like, there's all the things you can do to align with one account so you don't have to think about transferring money back and forth. How much do I have there? Am I over? Am I pulling more of my personal funds in? This is a mess. That's going to be disruptive for you. So also from a tax standpoint, a little hard to separate from an LLC construct too. I'd be careful there. It's just a pain in the butt. So that's my advice, but you need a good bookkeeper or outsourced. You don't need outsourced CFO, outsourced B modeler, stuff like we do. That's way too much. You just need a good bookkeeper group who knows how to get accrual financials together and cash management pieces for you. You might pay them $500 to $750 a month, but it'll be worth it in spades to help you manage your cash. So that's really what I would think you should do, rather than 7 checking accounts that you have to manage every month. So if that makes sense. So very good stuff today, guys. I wish I had more. This is exciting. This is fun. Sean, give me some good, those were good questions, man. Give me some more, people, if you're watching this. More questions like that. KPIs. What do I do with, my pricing for shipping? What do I do with, maybe even some things around like accounting stuff. Even though, we don't focus on accounting a ton. I know a lot about it, so I can give you the do's and the don'ts. Happy to chat through all that stuff. Well, hope everybody's having a good day. Hope this is helpful for all those who ask questions and anybody else on Sean's Live. Until next time.